Some moments burn so deep into your memory that even on your deathbed, you'll still see them clear as day. For me, that moment was the morning I tore open a thick manila envelope and found out my grandfather's 2,000-acre ranch, our family's legacy, had been sold. Not by me, not by anyone in my family, but by the Homeowners Association, in collusion with a real estate company. They had used a loophole to erase us from our own land with the stroke of a pen. The envelope hit my kitchen table with a dull thud that seemed to echo through the cabin my grandfather had built in 1962. Inside was a contract showing the sale to a company called Sunrise Valley Properties for $400,000, barely a fraction of its worth. The signature belonged to someone named Richard Brennan, apparently my authorized representative. I'd never met the man. My blood froze when I saw the notary stamp dated just 3 days before. It was official on paper, yet completely fraudulent. My wife Sarah found me staring at the contract as if it were a death certificate. She had grown up on this land too. Our daughter Emma thought of these woods as her playground. Sarah's voice shook with anger, but also with fear. Jake, who could do this? And how is it even legal? I called the county clerk's office, but the woman on the line sounded bored, almost irritated. According to her, everything had been filed properly. If I had questions, I should speak to my legal representative. Then she hung up. That night, I saw a black pickup parked near the property, hidden in the trees, watching my house. When I walked toward it, the truck sped off in a storm of gravel. I dug into Sunrise Valley Properties and found nothing but a post office box and ties to a powerful law firm. The company had been incorporated only weeks earlier. Everything about it screamed front. My search led me straight to the Lakeshore Communities HOA, run by a woman named Marjorie Claiborne, a retired tax attorney. She had wormed her way into power soon after moving here. At the next HOA meeting, she looked me dead in the eyes as she justified development partnerships that would raise property values. Then I learned they had secretly passed bylaw changes that reclassified my ranch as community property. That gave them the authority to sell on my behalf. When I confronted Marjorie in the parking lot, she smiled like a shark. Sometimes individual interests have to give way to the greater good. Her casual dismissal lit a fire in my chest. This wasn't about money. This was about legacy. And I wasn't going to give up. Soon, the threats started. I found a hidden surveillance camera disguised as a streetlight fixture at the entrance to my property. Moments later, I got a text from an unknown number. Stop looking where you don't belong. Your daughter walks to Lincoln Elementary every morning, doesn't she? Room 3B. Fear ripped through me, but it quickly hardened into rage. When I reported it, Sheriff Tom Brennan himself came to my door. His name had appeared on the fraudulent documents. He shrugged off my concerns, claiming there was nothing actionable. His dismissive tone told me everything I needed to know. He was in on it. Survey stakes appeared across my pastures overnight. A giant sign in the meadow read, Valley Springs Development, coming soon, luxury resort community. That's when a nervous man named Mark Chandler approached me. He'd worked for Grandview Development, the company really pulling the strings. Over coffee, he confessed that my ranch had been on their target list for years. The resort story was a cover. What they were really after lay beneath the soil, massive lithium deposits worth billions. Lithium for electric vehicle batteries, the new gold rush. Without my ranch, they couldn't access the richest vein. Marjorie wasn't just a puppet, she was family to Grandview's CEO. Sheriff Brennan was his cousin. The whole county was compromised. Then things escalated. Harassing phone calls, strangers asking questions about Emma at her school. And one morning, I discovered my truck's brake lines had been cut. They hadn't just come for my land. They were willing to kill me. That was when I brought in Rick Sullivan, a former FBI agent turned private investigator. Together, we traced the fraudulent documents, the bribes to HOA members, and the money funneled into Marjorie's account. A whistleblower at the clerk's office handed us recordings of the notary admitting fraud. Piece by piece, the conspiracy came into focus. Still, I needed the smoking gun. So one night, I broke into the HOA office. In Marjorie's safe, I found it. A geological survey proving the lithium deposit beneath my ranch was worth over $3 billion. Alongside it were letters between Marjorie and her uncle, the CEO, laying out their entire plan. They had infiltrated the HOA years ago, manipulating laws and buying off officials, all to steal what lay under my land. As I stuffed the evidence into my jacket, flashlights swept across the windows. Men stormed the building. I barely escaped through the back, running into the woods like I had when I was a boy. Hours later, I watched from the cattails as my cabin burned. They hadn't just wanted evidence, they wanted me erased. But I was ready. I'd already backed up everything to the cloud. If I missed a 12-hour check-in, copies would go straight to the FBI, the Attorney General, and the press. They could burn my house, but they couldn't burn the truth. By dawn, federal agents swarmed the community. Agent Lisa Park of the FBI told me they'd been tracking Grandview for years. My evidence was the missing puzzle piece. But even with federal support, reclaiming my ranch was tricky. The fraudulent sale was still legally binding. That's when Rick found a state law allowing communities to dissolve their HOA if it conducted unauthorized transactions over $1 million. All we needed was a majority vote. Sarah and I went door to door with evidence, financial records, photos of the survey stakes, environmental studies proving lithium mining would drain the aquifer and poison the lake. Neighbors who had ignored the HOA for years now realized they'd been betrayed. Families rallied. By the second day, we had more than enough signatures. At the emergency community meeting, Marjorie tried one last time to spin the story, promising jobs and prosperity. But when I played the recording of her admitting the lithium cover-up, the room exploded in anger. The vote was overwhelming. The HOA was dissolved, and then the doors burst open. Federal agents marched in, cameras rolling, and arrested Marjorie, Sheriff Brennan, and the rest of their co-conspirators on charges of fraud, conspiracy, and corruption. Justice was swift. A judge reversed the sale, restoring my ranch. Grandview's CEO and executives were indicted. My family received compensation, though no amount could erase the scars. But we decided not to walk away. Instead, we founded the Morrison Land Rights Foundation to help other families resist land grabs. Months later, I testified before Congress. Lawmakers passed new legislation, the Morrison Act, forcing transparency in mineral rights acquisitions and protecting communities from exactly this kind of fraud. Today, I stand on the rebuilt deck of my home, watching the lake shimmer in the morning light. The land is safe, the lithium untouched, the water pure. My grandfather would have been proud. This fight was never just about acres or minerals. It was about legacy, family, and refusing to be crushed by people who thought they were untouchable. No one has the right to take what is ours unless we let them. And I never will.